Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witnesses, Minister, for joining us today. Earlier today, Bill Curry reported that an internal review of federal contracting uncovered at least $5 million in fraudulent billing by private contractors. You, of course, confirmed this, and you held a press conference earlier today where you announced that 3 information technology subcontractors fraudulently billed on contract work across a number of separate federal departments, agencies, and Crown corporations. The total of these illegitimate payments is, as I've said, almost $5 million. Your officials mentioned that 5 to 10 more cases are being looked into. Can you tell me how much money is involved in these additional cases?
Well, thank you for the question, and very pleased to note that you did follow both the story this morning in the newspaper and equally importantly the presser that I gave with President of the Treasury Board, Anita. And 3 things we announced briefly. First,
Excuse me, Minister. As you noted, I followed along the press conference. What I'd like to know is how much money is involved in these additional cases. Do you know, yes or no? And if you do, how much?
So I'll cut that to 2 pieces then. First, the announcement this morning, the $5 million, which, as you will have understood, is now under investigation by RCMP, and all appropriate attempts will be made to recover those dollars. And second, the fact that, as you also mentioned, there are other cases under investigation, and when more will be known, appropriate measures will be taken.
Thank you very much for that. Are these investigations expanding to any of the companies involved in the ArriveCan scam?
These are separate cases. The reason for which we're able to talk about them today is that since 2018, and more importantly, since the pandemic, a large number of procurement contracts are now electronic. We have invested significantly in electronic procurement, so we're able to use data analytics and the considerable data that has been accumulated to proceed to the identification of these cases and eventually to prosecute them in court.
Thank you. What does your department define as fraudulent payments? For example, were subcontractors paid for work that they didn't do?
Well, this is for these cases, which are different from the ones that you have in mind, different from the ArriveCan cases on which you have spent considerable time over the last few weeks. So these are separate cases, and as you would understand, and as would be appropriate, no, we can't talk about them in public, since that would undermine the important RCMP efforts that are currently undergoing.
So you can't identify the companies, but can you identify which departments are involved with these contractors and the fraudulent payments?
There are many of them. I think it's a bit more than 30 of them, and all of them are cooperating, as they should be doing, with PSPC to find out what went wrong and how we can prosecute those cases and recover the dollars that were fraudulently provided to them.
Can you tell me, are the public servants that were involved with these contractors and these payments being investigated at all?
The information that I have, and again, we need to be very careful because we wouldn't expect and we wouldn't want politicians to get involved in RCMP investigations. So that information is far from political interference. So we are we have high-level information that suggests that there is no wrongdoing on the part of public servants at the moment at which we're speaking, but that is obviously under investigation as well.
What about the public service? Any individuals who in the bureaucracy, in the departments that may have been working with these contractors, are they being investigated?
As we just said, everything is obviously under scrutiny, but as we speak now, it's the RCMP is investigating outside subcontractors that have billed fraudulently the federal government.
You said earlier today that there is no evidence that the fraudulent payments were a result of mismanagement. And so I guess I would ask then, are you aware if these subcontractors provided proof of work, or did departments simply pay without seeing that proof?
as we just said.
Sorry, I'm going to have to intervene because we're very short of time. That is our time. Perhaps we can get back to it next round.